Okay, so our next talk is a pre-recorded talk, and it's by Dr. Christos Argyropoulos, who is a consultant physician in renal medicine at School of Medicine, University of New Mexico. And his talk today is about performant data reductions with Perl. I'm just going to start the video.
Today, I'm Chris Argyropoulos. I'm an associate professor of internal medicine at the School of Medicine in Albuquerque, New Mexico, in the United States. And I'll be talking to you today about performant data reductions with Perl. These are my disclosures, which are not relevant for the content of the talk today. So what are reductions and why are they important? Reductions are operations by which we summarize multidimensional data tables by collapsing each dimension into a single scalar. The final result should be obtainable by combining results from a time in the array doing the operation and then combining the same operation. And it turns out that this is possible if we are dealing with associative and commutative operations, things that you can do by combining the data inside parentheses or changing the orders and obtaining the same result. Examples of such operations include things like the sum, the average, the minimum, or the maximum value, and there are highly relevant operations for programming models such as MapReduce, which are used to collapse or summarize multi-terabyte data, such as the one found in bioinformatics or electronic health applications, which is the context of my work with Perl. It turns out that there are more than one ways to do reduction using native Perl. You can use a garden variety for loop, you can use a map, or you can resort to the CPAN module list Util, which uses XS to implement common reductions in highly performant C code. However, none of these applications are multi-threaded, and for really big data, you are really trying to squeeze performance by parallelizing your code. So how can one do that? It turns out that you can do that by rolling up your sleeves, writing the code for the reduction using a lower-level language, in this case C, and then applying compiler directives from the OpenMP standard that make the compiler generate code that can use multiple threads and multiple cores in the processor. So the code on the left shows how one would implement the sum using a C function that interfaces with Perl through the inline module. The code on the right shows that by inserting two compiler directives, we can turn the operation into a parallel one. To see how much performance one can gain by these approaches, we ran an experiment using arrays of doubles of various length, and then running the reductions using native Perl, list Util, and OpenMP and single thread C code. The target processor for these experiments is a double dual Xeon whose topology and performance is shown on the graph on the right. By comparing the execution times, which is the graph on the left, we can see that for small problems for the processor concerned up to 10,000 doubles, there was really no benefit in using multi-threaded code. The overhead for setting up the parallel computation and doing thread synchronization is much larger than the time it takes to do the sum. And in this case, either the single-threaded code in C, or even better, the list Util reduction is highly performant and allows one to do things at a fraction of a second. Note that as the size of the problem grew, the for loop in Perl became slower and slower. However, for really big problems, in this case more than 1 million elements, there is a substantial benefit in deploying code that has been parallelized to OpenMP. The graph on the right shows the relative speed up using the native for loop as a benchmark. It's a different way of showing the same information, but we can see that the more threads we deploy, the better performance we get up to a limit of up to 8 cores for both the sum and the product operations. So what are the conclusions? The package list util offers numerous reductions that are highly performant versus native Perl implementations, and for moderate sized problems, one should just use that because it obviates the need of writing C code. However, for really big problems, it becomes imperative to deploy multi-threaded reductions by writing code in C that's easily parallelized with OpenMP and delivers a performance of 20 times over the native Perl code or 10 times over least Util. Additional speedups may be feasible by combining OpenMP with SIMD and has reductions in assembly and interfacing that with Perl. This is work in progress to be presented in the upcoming Perl Community Conference in December. Some references of the work I've done by combining Perl with C and assembly for data-intensive applications are shown on the right. This includes repositories at GitHub, a couple of web articles under the banner The Quest for Performance. I should also cite Brett Strat's excellent OpenMP environment CPAN package that allows one to control OpenMP through Perl and really customize how you deploy your code based on the characteristics of the processor. Thank you for coming to my talk
today. Thank you. Obviously, we can't question Christos.
Can we ask questions?
We can't ask questions, but we could perhaps spend 60 seconds or so having a brief discussion if anybody has any comments to make.
Just Dr. Christos, could he use video for this?
Well, so I was about to mention that. So the front page of pdl.com.org now, with a recent update by me, just to make it a sales pitch, links to parts 2 and 3 of that thing that he was talking through there, which absolutely goes into PDL with his threading stuff. So he's very fully at that time.
Yeah.
So, and he's on the big HashPDL channel.
Yeah, right.
Uh-huh.
So,
But it's always good to have different options.
yeah. And for me, with my PDL, hold on for a second, the biggest threat that I can see is that sort of bespoke OpenMP thing, because you can really sort of tell OpenMP exactly how you want to parallelize it, which PDL can't do yet. Although again, watch this space. Part of the GPU thing's going to want to do big fusion and just make all the one operation. So, but even then, probably the human might still do a better job.
Okay.
That's quite specific as a threat. So PDL's generally pretty good at this.
I suspect that if all you're going to do is fund an array, you don't need much magic. If you're going to do a MapReduce with very peculiar operations, then yeah, you have to do it by hand. But
Yeah, absolutely. And just to add to that, so when you alluded to threading there, that's not a threat because PDL does that stuff automatically. I will add one thing, which is I was fascinated by the number is 10,000 because the limit that PDL's got built in when it was added by John Sonny, who wrote this stuff in about 2010, something like that, he put a limit to 1 million elements. So if you can get a performance equality of the threads of 10,000, I need to take that number right down and use threads a lot more.
Okay. Any other points anybody would like to raise? Okay, that I think concludes Christos's talk. So thank you very much, Christos, for providing us with that.